I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
happy days. The weekend comes, let's not go home.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet,
Just knock it off, you scum bucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those.
Happy days.
It's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to escape.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And if you're stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all about it.
Happy days.
It's just one of those,
Happy days.
it's just one of those days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to escape.
Feel like shit. My suggestion is to keep your distance. 'Cause right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the bonds.
My day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
What we got here is a case of mistaken identity, you know? See, now this here,
Not Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 128 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. It's been a while, hasn't it? Well, I say a while, but it's been like a week or something like that. But I've not been producing a lot of videos or live streams at the moment, mainly because of I've fallen ill last week with I think it was like a flu or maybe a fever. Maybe it was a fever because I don't remember getting a blocked nose or anything like that at all. But I do remember coughing a lot, so maybe it was like a slight wintry fever, something to that effect. Also with that, I've been busy with work. I've been busy with kind of setting everything up for Christmas. So yeah, it's been pretty busy as of late. That's why I couldn't exactly. A lot of things were going on at the same time, which is why I couldn't really do any more streams. But I'm back now. So even with that being said, there might be a possibility that this month alone might be a bit slower for episodes, so you might see the show for about maybe once per week on Sunday. But that's only just for this month, and then once we get to January time and when everything starts calming down and Christmas has all come to an end, then it'll go back to being the two episodes per week after that. So just for now, I'll still do like maybe a slight Christmas special, depending on which Sunday that will be, and of course see from there with that. But from now, sounds like you took a chill. Yeah, it really was a bit of a chill, to be honest. So just real quick, for this month, it's only going to be one episode per week, and of course with the Christmas special, and then around about January time after New Year's, then it'll go back to being two episodes per week. Just trying to get everything all sorted out at the same time. So once we're moving on from there, let me have a look and see who's in the chat just now. I'm sure there'll be a lot of familiar faces as per usual. So we have Arnold the Saxon. How you doing? Thank you very much for watching Mood of the Nation. Gamma Sandwich is with us as per usual. Thank you very much. English Rose is with us as well. Thank you very much for watching the show itself. Ragnar Ironspear is with us. Thank you very much, Ragnar. Aunt Sally is with us. Thank you very much, Aunt Sally, for watching Mood of the Nation as per usual. Also, an advocate. Christmas greetings to all activists and volunteers of PA. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. Picking Guys 1972 is with us as per usual. Thank you very much. Roy Herbert is with us. Thank you very much for watching. Chop that wood of the nation with the mother fucking chainsaw buddies. Thank you, Picking Guys. Peter Walker is with us. The Earl of Stair is with us as well. Thank you very much for watching Mood of the Nation. So 13 people watching the show already. Hopefully more people will come along, and then we'll definitely see with that. See from there, in fact. what was I going to mention just now? I do have an article to talk about, but I kind of wanted to give a little bit of an update as besides me falling out, what exactly has been going on even besides then. Just real quick, the Duke of Bedford is with us. Thank you very much. Don't burn out. Quality is better than quantity, and your well-being always comes first. Well, thank you very much, English Rose. Appreciate that comment, of course. Thank you very much for that. I could mention real quick that Entropy is working at the moment with live side by side with StreamYard, which is really good. So, and I don't know if I'm going to do the show tonight, maybe long, maybe for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It just depends, really. But I don't think there's not really much to talk about at the moment anyway with that. I have one article and maybe I could give a bit of an update as to what's been going on. But besides that, there's really nothing else really to talk about at the moment. But so with Entropy going on live just now, if you have any questions to ask me, be it paid or unpaid questions, you can always ask me those questions in the Entropy chat just now, which will be pinned in the YouTube chat just now. I'm sure people will see it. But yeah, there we go. So Entropy is working just now, which is good to see. What to start off with, right? Sure. So should I maybe start off with the article or maybe address the elephant in the room, which of course will happen this past Friday? So maybe I can actually start off with what happened this past Friday again, just so that's out of the way, kind of thing. But now I don't want to toot my own horn or anything like that at all. But there seems to be a bit of a ruckus that happened with Friday in terms of the people within nationalism who are either on the side of IRL activism versus online activism. So even though it was already talked about during this past week's PA talk, I know Sai and Meme Peem and also Jacob had a chat about this as well during that show. This was the recent episode they did where they were talking about the recent census report. And I know they briefly talked about that. Well, this past Friday, for those people who follow me on Telegram, you may have noticed that I've posted a couple of long posts about activism, whether it be well, not whether it be, it was pretty much all to do with like activism for both online activism and IRL activism. Now, some people did praised it. Some people kind of were a bit not pissed off, or they were a little bit annoyed, saying like, "Oh, well, I do activism too, and you know, how dare you?" type of thing. Like, look, I think I might as well address this like just now regarding to tonight's episode. Now, I'm not going to try and start any drama or anything like that at all, because believe me, I got into a massive argument with one of these online content creators on Twitter, which of course they blocked me for it. So with that post, I think I might want to start something and make something very, very clear, in fact, because I know ever since that Twitter spat had with I might as well say the name just now. Is it Samuel Gog? I think you pronounce his name, who is a complete fucking cunt, and so is a milk-fed gimp of followers. And I'm only just being honest about that. I know people are going to say like, "Oh, you're starting drama. You're punching right. You shouldn't do that." No, fuck those people. And I'll get to why in much more in detail, but I think I might want to try and explain it in a more chronological order type of thing. So I think when it comes to activism, whether it be IRL or online type of thing with that, like, well, I'll start off with the online stuff when it comes to it, because I know there seems to be people that think that I'm like too bought or too pissed off with online stuff or anything like that. Like, look, I'll say this right. I have no problem of people producing content online. In fact, I admire stuff like that. I think it's good for I'll be forever. I'll get to that later on when it comes to that. But look, I'll say this right. I have no problem of people producing stuff online, whether it be videos or live streams or anything like that at all. In fact, I admire that. I think it's a good idea for people to make videos because they're talking about the issues when it comes to that. Now, that I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem when it comes to that, well, actually, just real quick, sorry, just one last part with that. The people who produce content online and doing like online activism, if you want to call it that, as long as you're talking about the problems and you're actually taking people to the right direction, you're sending people to the right direction. Like, look, this is what's happening. Here's what we should do. Check out these organizations or groups, like nationalist groups like PA or NHP UK, so on and so forth. As long as they're doing that, I'm happy with that. That's fine because they're actually sending people to the right direction type of thing. What I do have a problem with are people like Samuel Gogg, who basically talks about the problems, mocks SJWs or whatever, but he claims to be a centrist, but cozy up to people like Millennial Woes, Morgoth, and all this and that, but never actually providing a proper solution to the problems. Those types of content creators I do have a problem with. Now, I also posted something in my post on Telegram about IRL activism, talking about how people need to get out more and actually do actual activism. And if you don't, then you're basically are a fraud or a coward or a combination of the two. And I think there are some people that did take a little bit of offense to that. Like, look, I'll say this right. It's good if you're doing activism, IRL activism. If you're going out delivering leaflets, doing banner drops, going out in the public space, doing banner drops or doing letter picking, basically doing everything you can to build that sense of community. Great, awesome. You're doing a great thing with that. Now, when it comes to background IRL activism or anything like that, so that would be stuff like, say, developing future leaflets, looking through research in terms of for like future content or whatever, whether it be streams or videos, or maybe leaflets themselves, or maybe articles for the website or anything like that at all. Again, that's also great. If you don't like doing stuff in front of the camera or whatever, but you want to do behind the scenes stuff, I've got no problem with that. That's great. That's awesome. Because again, you're providing work for the movement and you're doing stuff that's beneficial for the movement and for people. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. What was it? Oh, damn it. There's so much to kind of go over when it comes to this part here with that. But look, right, I'll say this when it comes to, I'm more of the camp that as much as I admire people producing content online, I think it's beneficial for us to do stuff IRL type of thing. Because look, as much as I appreciate people producing stuff online, I think it's come to the point now, and this is just my opinion, by the way. Maybe some people might share it, some people might disagree with it, but just my opinion alone, I think it's come to the point where online stuff is not really enough anymore. I admire people producing content online, but it's not 2016 anymore. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And I think that's a problem I'm seeing a lot from these online or pro-online activism types of folk. They seem to think that if we do stuff like producing stuff online, then it's going to be like 2016 all over again. It's not. I'm sorry to break it to you, but it's not going to be like that. 2016 was like, what, 6, 7, maybe almost 8 years. No, maybe not 8 years ago, but it was quite a while ago regarding to that. That was back then. We're now in 2022. We're vastly approaching 2023. A lot of things have happened since then. And it's all been changed ever since then with that. It's no longer 2016 anymore regarding to that. But 6 years ago, I'll be forever. Thank you very much for that. Again, I know it sounds like I'm kind of like repeating myself here when it comes to all of this stuff I'm talking about, but look, it's important to say that I think it's beneficial for both online activism and IRL activism. But I think again, in my opinion, IRL activism is more important than online stuff. I admire people producing content online, but IRL stuff is still, to me anyway, is a lot more important with that in this case. If you guys can just bear with me just 1 second, I'll be back in a short moment or two. 1 second. I'm just going to sort something out here. 1 second here. Just going to mute myself, turn off the camera, and I'll be back in just a moment here, folks. 1 sec. back on again. Right. Sorry about that, folks. I was just checking on something, but it's fine and dandy with that at the moment. Right. So I think it's good I got that out of the way in terms of my opinion on activism, whether it be online stuff or IRL stuff. So I just thought it's important to maybe mention that because I know this has been something that's been going on for quite a while now. A lot of oh no, it's fine, Sally. I'm back now, so my apologies for that. I think it's something that needs. I don't want to say like needs to keep being brought up, but because I know there's a lot of people that have their opinions on the subject matter itself. I think even someone said in the chat that Woodlander has made a video about this as well, which I mean, again, it's a good video. I've actually watched it myself. And I think this has all kind of escalated ever since Friday when I had that bit of a spat with Semyogog. Now, I'll just get into that part just real quick here and what exactly happened with that in this case. Again, this is just from what happened with regard to that, but this is people like him that do kind of piss me off when it comes to this overall movement type of thing. So this past Friday, as it all started, I made that post on Telegram. I ended up making like another post later on to kind of like maybe make some clarifications type of thing. But after I posted the original post on Telegram, I saw Semyogog basically making a. I can't exactly remember what the tweet was about. I think it was something along the lines of he was talking about some kind of like. It was like book or some piece of text or something like that. To which, of course, I was just thinking to myself, right, again, how does that help us when, I mean, if I have to quote one of the Groypers back in TP USA event back in America, I just remember thinking, like, how does something like this help us win the culture war when it comes to that? Let me see. I like Semyogog, to be honest. He does great content. I mean, look, again, this is just from my own perspective when it comes to it. I personally don't like him. I think he comes off as a bit of a fucking huffer. But that's just me. If you like him, that's fine. If you like his content, again, that's fine. This is just from my own personal perspective when it comes to it. And maybe I can give people a reason as to why I don't really like him when it comes to that. But if you like him and you like his content, again, no problem with that whatsoever. More power to you. So he made that tweet about it, and then I made a retweet basically asking, well, how does this help us win the culture war? To which, of course, he responded with like, well, like, who the fuck are you, basically? And I was just like, well, would it be better if I actually have a bit of the list kind of thing? Hold on a minute, because I made a response to him basically saying, like, I'm a nationalist who goes out and does stuff IRL type of thing, like, delivering leaflets, doing banner drops, and so on and so forth. I want to see if I can maybe quickly find them. I won't share them on the screen, but I'll see if I can maybe find them just real quick when it comes to that, and then kind of see from there. It's a bit of a shit show when it comes to that whole thing, but anyway, where was it? Sorry, folks, 1 second here. Or has that been passed to take it? Oh, damn it. So, sorry, folks, I should have maybe had to look at this before, but all right, how is this helping us win the culture war? So that was my tweets have made about that. I don't know if I will be able. Nah, I can't really see it because he blocked me on Twitter, which is fantastic. So I'm trying to see if I can find. Oh yeah, so maybe this was it. So I basically made a response to him when he asked me, like, who are you? Basically, I responded saying, I'm going out delivering leaflets, doing litter picking, doing banner drops in front of the general public. We're getting the word out that White Lives Matter, all voluntary and get no money whatsoever. What do you bring to the table? So that was that, and then of course it was him and a couple of his I guess fanboys, if you want to call it that, were basically coming out of the woodwork and saying like, oh, like what exactly is the problem here? Like you're acting like a Karen or like a Fed kind of thing. That whole kind of like centrist like talking point type of like exactly. And then see, it's a bit of a problem because I can't exactly see his tweets because again he has blocked me with that. I think he responded with another retweet basically asking, "Are you ovulating?" or something to that effect, and I was like, "Are you ovulating?" to quote him. And then after that, I said, "Is that all you have? Why don't you grow a pair and address the points I'm making here? What have you done for the movement?" And see, that's the thing when it comes to that with him and his followers. Whenever I ask them, "Well, what have you done for the movement?" and also exactly why don't you go out and actually do some activism, whether it be in front of like people or delivering leaflets, or even just behind the scenes type of work, they don't really give an answer to it. They just refuse to answer that, which is really makes you think, doesn't it? Really makes you think. But let me see. What was actually the last one? Because then he made like a. Oh yeah, he made some kind of like douchebaggy type of remark. Again, he was just like kind of coming off as like huffing his own farts type of thing and acting like as if he's like the big intellectual like powerhouse or something like that. So I made a response retweet to him, basically saying, "Okay, Reddit, I'll take anything you say at least, but seriously, especially when you block people for not stroking your ego." And that was not the tweet that he blocked me on. Although he did make a tweet where basically saying like, "Oh, he's basically egging me on to block him, but I'm not going to block him whatsoever." But then later on, he ends up blocking me anyway. So, if I think that was the next tweet he made with that. So I basically made a retweet with them, basically saying your whole thing or your whole shtick is to sit in and talk about the problems. Anyone who tells you to go out and do actual activism, you immediately call them feds. You are poisoning the well, which of course he and his followers were. They were completely poisoning the well by calling not just me, by the way, calling me a fed, but they're basically calling people like me with NPA or any other nationalist group for that matter who actually do IRL activism. Basically calling us feds. So basically, you're calling a group of people feds because we're actually going out and doing stuff. A lot of great work, by the way, that a lot of people are doing. And then, of course, they're being called feds by a bunch of people who are completely anonymous and really don't do anything but sit on their arses all day consuming content every single day, throughout all day for that matter. There was a follow-up in that same tweet where I said that Copenseed, I should have been Copenseed, but Copenseed all you want. It's not 2016 anymore. Time to grow a pair and deliver leaflets, son. That's what I wrote after that. So was that the last one? Oh no, he made basically like he made another like some pithy type of remark. So I made a response to him, basically asking, "Who's wet-eyed? I'm getting sick to death of content creators like you who do nothing for the movement, not providing a solution, and want people to do nothing. You're the one who's seething because you know if more and more people call you out on your BS, then it all crumbles down." And that's a point to make, by the way, when it comes what I've noticed from this Semyogog fellow and all of his followers. So it seems to me just with him alone that he doesn't like IRL activism. I mean, he calls me and a few others feds and all of that. And I think it's merely because of the fact that it's not because of the fact that he's worried about or concerned about the lives of people going out and doing natural activism, but he's more concerned that if people like me or like Psy or anyone like that at all who does IRL stuff, then it will completely damage his business model. So he doesn't want people to do anything because that's how he makes his money at the end of the day. But if people actually were to go out and do actual activism, then it will completely tarnish his business model. That's basically what it all boils down to here. And this is me arguing with a couple of his followers with that. Oh, and this tweet, sorry, just real quick. This is where I also called them out on there's no such thing as right-wing activism, which, by the way, I think that is the most retarded statement you could ever make. Because Semyogog responded to someone on Twitter. He talked about Patriot Fund and talking about activism and all of that. And Semyogog was the same person who basically came out and saying, "Oh, there's no such thing as right-wing activism." Well, how I'm sorry, but you're saying that, and you're still bitching about these anti-whites, lefties, whatever you want to call them, basically gaining power and doing anything they can within society. Well, it's like, well, how do you expect change to happen if you're going to be the type of person who thinks that there's, well, A, there's no such thing as right wing activism, and B, you don't really want people to go out and activize because, I don't know, Charlottesville, I don't fucking know, but anyway, it's so bizarre why he makes such a statement like that. There's no such thing as right wing activism. Shut up. So I basically made a tweet basically saying, tell me you're not going to tell me there's no such thing as right-wing activism. This is where I called them out on that. If you are, you're a joke. How do you think we'll change anything if we don't do anything about it? Patriotic Alternative stops some drag queen story hour shows from happening. Explain that. Which, of course, they never do explain that. They just completely shift that along and just start making these like snarky remarks as per usual. To which I even responded back about that, basically saying to them, so you have nothing to say except acting like snarky little cunts. If you want this SJW lefty or anti-white stuff to stop, then grow a pair and do some activism. That's basically what I said. And then what happens from Samuel Gog and, of course, one of his followers, during the same morning, by the way, they blocked me. They blocked me for that, which... it's not a very centrist thing to do, but hey, I guess that's the new model when it comes to the centrists regarding to that. But anyway, so yeah, that was that. So I had a bit of an argument with them, and that's when it all kind of sparked the whole thing with other content creators coming out, basically saying like, look, I agree with the idea of doing both kinds of nationalism and all of that, but we just need a bit of a balance type of thing. I think it was either Joel Davis that wrote that original tweet, or it was Keith Woods, I think it was. But I don't know. I just kind of think like it's a bit of a straw man when it comes to regarding to that point. Look, I'll just say this real quick. Nobody has a problem, as I said earlier on. Nobody has a problem of people producing stuff online, like online content. I mean, after all, I'm a content creator myself. I produce a web show like Mood of the Nation. I'm planning on making regular videos for next year or this coming year, 2023. I got some stuff planned up when it comes to that. So I got no problem with that whatsoever. And again, it gets more and more people to look into our side and maybe possibly join it. I got no problem with that. What I do have a problem with, and me and a few others have a problem with, are people like Samuel Gog who talks about the problems but does absolutely nothing, provides no solutions. And even if you were to say to him, well, why don't we try maybe this and maybe to try and, just a bit of not advice, but basically a bit of a way of saying, look, instead of maybe just sitting down and talking about it, why don't we actually maybe try and do something about it? Then he will poison the well and call someone like me, like feds, basically. And it's like, well, what can you do at that point? You really don't want someone like that in the movement because, wow, I've got some donations here. That's pretty based. I'll have a check on that in a short second. But those who donated, thank you very much for doing so. If these people put their intellectualism into an article, they could submit it to the PA website. Wouldn't be that hard to do. Well, it's funny with that because I think they produce stuff like that in what's it called? Is it Substack or something like that? So I guess they do technically do that, but anyway, anyway, if you call an intellectual, they will expertly try to humiliate you with words and destroy you. I mean, like, well, I guess they tried to do that this past Friday with Samuel Gog, but ultimately speaking, he and one of his followers basically blocked me. So I guess I won the argument, if you want to call it that. But yeah, was there any other comments that were being made about this? Spoke to a well-known, old-respected nationalist hand today on Tinside. We both respected that PA needs to get recognized ASAP. Membership will soar. It's vital we become a party. No, I agree with that. I don't understand what this is from Gamma Sandwich. I don't understand what is fed about doing things IRL. If I were in better health, you can bet I would be doing it myself. Yeah, fair. That's the absolute fair point. I just, again, well, kind of going back to what I was saying before of why people like, maybe not necessarily Samuel Gog, but maybe some of his followers would say, well, that's just a Fed thing to do. Like, it's only leftists that go out and do activism. I think again, it completely ruins their business model because they don't want people going out. Again, not every single person in the online who mainly produces stuff online. People specifically like Semyogog, people like him do not want people to go out and do activism. And like I said, it's not because of the fact that they're concerned about the safety and well-being of people who actually go out and do activism. It's ultimately because it ruins their business model. So they want to go online and be like the who was it that said it? But not like it's something specific like a thinking head. No, not thinking head. It was something like basically they want to come into the movement and be like a figurehead, if you want to call it that, and telling people what to do and how we can solve the problems. But then if you were to ask them, well, aren't you coming along and maybe be as an example of that, then they won't do that. Oh no, I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to tell people what to do and then expect other people to do it. Those people I can't stand for the life of me. Look, if it's for like a legitimate reason, say like Gamma Sandwich in the chat saying, "Oh, I don't do IRL stuff much because of health reasons," that's one thing, But people like Semyogog or Morgoth, I mean, I would imagine, who seem in pretty good shape, and of course, the mainly go out. I would imagine when it comes to that, then I mean, it's like, well, what seems to be the issue here exactly? But anyway. I've been out with Active Patriot and Yorkshire Rose a couple of times, covering the migrant hotels, and I help modding where I can. I could do more though. Look, as long as you're helping out with the movement, whether as best as you possibly can, that I've got no problem with. Is I know it sounds like again I'm repeating myself here, but I think it bears repeating here. I have problems with people like Semyogog who do nothing for the movement but talk about the problems, don't really provide any solutions. And if you were to go up and say to him, well, why don't we try this and this and this, then apparently to him, you're just a troll, you're just a hater, and most importantly, you're a fucking fed. Those people I have a problem with. The types of people who seem to think that they can just be the figureheads of the movement and then huff their own fucking farce. But then, of course, the very moment where you call them out on it, then they act like the biggest fucking douchebags on the planet. I mean, to me, with this past Friday pretty much is a prime example of that. Nationalism is practical patriotism. Yeah, it is. I agree. I agree with that. Many of these intellectual blowhards have very fragile egos. One wrong word or even a joke and they lose it. Well, I mean, this past Friday was a prime example of that. But anyway, they talk the talk, but don't do the walk. No, that's a very valid point, Arnold. The Saxon, very valid point. Let me see. I think watch mods, that's fine. Yeah, that's me up to date with the chat. That's fine. I never liked the AA types or the academic agent types, but just endless intellectual waffle and chatter. Fair enough. I think I'll move on from that. I think I've pretty much said a lot when it comes to the overall conversation with that. So yeah, ultimately speaking, I got no problems with both online activism and IRL activism. I'm more of a side of IRL activism because I think at this current time is a lot more important than say online stuff. I admire people who do produce online stuff. At the end of the day, it's not 2016 anymore. We're in 2022. We're just closing into 2023. It's maybe about time to do a little bit of IRL activism. And again, it doesn't even have to be much, by the way. It doesn't have to be out in the field delivering leaflets, doing banner drops, or so on and so forth. You could do behind the scenes stuff. Like I said, you can produce articles. You could do research for future leaflets or articles or videos or so on and so forth. Like you could basically do anything behind the scenes if you wanted to. Like it doesn't even have to be much, as long as it's something. That's the main thing when it comes to that. And yeah, and fuck people like Semyogog, who is a fart huffing douchebag who really provides nothing to the movement. Again, people might accuse me of starting drama or punching right. I'm just the type of guy who just calls it a spade when it comes to that. And I think people like them. I'll just even say this: if they ever see this, I don't care if they'll get pissed off with me saying this, but regarding people like Semyogog, who thinks they're like the big figurehead of the movement, which is funny considering that they would call themselves a centrist or like an AA type or academic agent type, but then cozy up to people like Morgoth or Millennial Woes and all this and that. I'm just going to tell you this right now, Semyogog. If you ever see this, listen up. You're not as smart as you think you are. You may think you're like a big intellectual, but again, you're just another fucking sped like the rest of us, okay? Just trying to get by when it comes to what's going on just now. So you're not as smart as you think you are, pal. You're not as smart as you think you are, all right? Anyway, a lot of the people who push the no political solution narrative are the same ilk translation. Let's say there's no political solution, so we can sit around posting skull mask and navel gazing. No, very valid point. I'll be in favor. Very valid point. I think IRL activism is a threat to their income, if I'm absolutely honest. No, that's exactly what it is. It hurts their business model. That's why they don't want people doing IRL activism. Again, some of these online content activists or creators, I got no problem with. Say, for example, like, again, Woodlander would be a best example of this. Now, I don't know if Woodlander does any IRL stuff himself, but I know he talks about the problems. He does take people in the right direction. Like, here's what we can do, and look at these groups if you're interested. I like Woodlander. I think he's a prime example of people in the movement who mainly produces online stuff. But again, he tells people what to do. He then gives people, he basically points people in the right direction. People like Woodlander, I got no problem with. He actually does a good thing with that by pointing people in the right direction. Who else is here? Who else? All right, anything else that's been said in the chat? Because I think if I pretty much, Lisa Active, Moody, respect to you. Or, well, it's not just myself. I mean, there's other people who produce content online, but actually does do some active IRL activism as well. I know, like, many people from PA Scotland, like Cyborg, Mean Peem, the lads from PA Young Scots, who, by the way, they just produced their latest episode just today. I'll probably post that later in the chat if people want to check them out for themselves. I know their content creators. Well, they do make content from time to time, but they mainly do like IRL stuff. There's a lot of people within PA who are content creators, but also do IRL stuff as well. Like I know Mark does, Laura does, Sam does. Barkley does, Wesley does. I know that. Alec Yearbury, I don't know if it's fair to call him a content creator, although I think he does have his own Telegram page. But again, you could maybe make the argument with that. There's a lot of people who do produce stuff online, but they also do a lot of IRL stuff as well. I know Joe Marsh is recently doing his own live streaming stuff, but he's very active IRL when it comes to that. So there's many people who do a lot of both online stuff and IRL stuff who do a lot of great work when it comes to the movement. So I never rated Semyogog smug twat from Ugly Truth. Fair enough. You can follow Chief Me on the following platforms for more great content. Oh, thank you, English Rose. Thank you very much for that. Someone get 4,000 leaflets to me for us. We'll get them out on South Tyneside. Fair enough. Or is it Tyneside? Anyway, with that. Telegram, Twitter, Gab. Thank you very much, English Rose, for sharing my content. And Sally, real quick, Woodlander is a great morale booster offering practical solutions. Exactly that, Aunt Sally. Yes, that's what I was trying to say regarding Woodlander. That's a very good point with that, Aunt Sally. Thank you. I'll be forever. Chief Ready Woodlander is on Mark's show next week, I believe. Is that so? Excellent. Well, if that's true, then good to see. I'll see if I can try and check that out when I can. Fuck them all, Chief. When it comes to Toby Radley, I found Woodlander the most helpful for me in my predicament. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think maybe it was helpful for a lot of people regarding to the nationalist cause or scene. Too many content creators. Maybe a bit debatable, but I think there's a lot more IRL activists now. But anyway, I've met Woodlander in person. He does get out and about. Fair enough. I wasn't sure if he does both online IRL stuff. It was mainly just online stuff. But if he does do some parts of IRL stuff, then that's great, awesome with that. He's a wise old fox. Ero really does come off like that. Woodlander is living the life we all want to live. Yeah, that's true. He's definitely living off the grid. Anyway, I want to check out Entropy real quick because I know there were people that, wow, I think there's a couple more donations coming through. Sorry, just 1 second here. Right, so let me start off at the bottom. I think there's 2 donations from Picking Gaz. So first one for Picking Gaz 1972, who sent $3. Thank you very much. Mood of the of the donation. Well, again, thank you very much. And then he sent another donation, again, Picking Gaz 1972. He sent $20 and basically says, "Have it, mate." Again, thank you very much for that. That's greatly appreciated. And then lastly, Rory Herbert for £3. Thank you very much. Did you see Laura's post about the Daily Record report reporting today about people laying flowers at Chris Donald's grave? They even mentioned PA Scotland in the article. It might be worth a read. I'm glad you brought that up, Rory, and also thank you very much for the £3 donation. I actually do have that article lined up, but that's something I'm going to talk about just now. So I've already moved to the donation, but I've already mentioned what happened this past Friday. We'll just move on from there with that. So again, don't want to start any drama or anything with that at all. It would just give you guys a bit of a case of what happened then in regard to that. So let's move on from there, and possibly the last and final thing to talk about tonight. I'll see if I can get the article up here just now. Now, this, of course, came to my attention earlier today, and it just really goes to show that these newspapers are just written and owned by absolute scumbags regarding to this. But let me have a look and see if I can get this up here just now. We'll have a look at this together. I did read a little bit of this earlier on, and Rory just said with the donation that PA Scotland are mentioned. So let's have a little bit of a gander about this, shall we? Right-wing extremists attempt to exploit race hate murder of Chris Donald as they lay flowers at grave. So they weren't doing anything political or anything with that at all. It was literally just a case of they were just paying respect to Chris Donald, and apparently, according to Hannah Roger from the Sunday Mail or the Daily Record, I'm assuming. Apparently, that's a race hate. That's basically attempting to exploit the murder of Chris Donald. That's fantastic. A very big brain take regarding to Hannah Roger, the journalist from the Sunday Mail. The Sunday Mail caught a member and 2 associates of the group paying a twisted tribute to the 15-year-old at the gravesite in Glasgow before boasting about it on social media. Let's have a look at this article just now. A group of right-wing extremists, including a Holocaust denier, have tried to exploit a race hate murder to promote the cause. UK A Force for Good have laid flowers at the grave of Chris Donald, the 15-year-old who was abducted, tortured, and murdered in 2004 by a group of British Pakistani men. I think we'll take out the British and just call it Pakistani men, Hannah, but thank you very much. The Sunday Mail caught a member and 2 associates of the group paying their twisted tribute to the 15-year-old at the gravesite in Glasgow. All right, what exactly is twisted about this tribute? They went to the gravesite because they wanted to pay their respects to Chris Donald. Like, what exactly is the problem here? Like, they're just paying their respects by putting down flowers at the gravesite of Chris Donald. I think that's a very noble thing for them to do that. I don't understand what exactly is twisted about that. I really don't understand what exactly is twisted about that. Anyway, and a memorial bench before boasting about it on social media. Late night, the organization led by Holocaust denier Alistair McConaughey, I'm gonna butcher this name. Sorry, McConaughey. I think it's McConaughey. I don't know if that might be pronounced that right, but if not, then my apologies. Were accused of using the murder to gain support for their far right agenda. Anti-racism campaigner, Khalida Noon, or foreign, who runs charity Intercultural Youth Scotland, said his murder should not be used to continue perpetuating hate, which is what this is doing. So basically, a foreigner is telling possibly a native Scot, "Oh, you can't, pay tribute to Chris Donald. You're basically exploiting his death." So how do you explain the whole George Floyd thing? Was that not exploiting George Floyd's death to promote some kind of a bullshit political agenda? Oh no, that's right. It's rules for thee, but not for thee type of argument, right? Exactly that. UK Force for Good describes itself as Scotland's premier pro-UK campaign group and think tank, and has tried to transform itself into a respectable political movement. Boss McConaughey, who was ejected from UKIP for his extreme views, joined too. Oh, so basically he joined UKIP, but UKIP were complete cucks and decided to kick him out. I guess that must have been for his benefit, because again, UKIP are, as I said, are just a complete cuckold of a political party now at this point. But that's beside the point. Joined two associates during the visit to Lynn Cemetery last weekend, where they laid flowers. The trio then made their way to Chris's memorial bench on the Clyde to lay more flowers. The identity of the two associates joining McConaughey is not known, but one, who goes by the name Kesar Souse on social media, has shared conspiratorial views, including claims warning that Sharia law is being brought into the UK by stealth. I mean, they're not entirely wrong. I mean, there's already Sharia courts in the UK already, so I don't understand where the whole, "Oh, that's just conspiratorial." I mean, talk to any fucking Muslim living in the UK, and they will tell you that there's actually Sharia courts going on in the UK just now. Anyway, it is not that for the first time that the brutal murder of 15-year-old Chris has been capitalized on by extremist groups. Despite his mom Angela's plea for his death not to be treated as a political cause, 4 of the gang, Danish Zay, Baldy, basically foreigners, were found guilty of racially motivated murder and are serving life in prison. Zahid Mohammed pleaded guilty to abduction, assault, and lying to the police, and served just 2.5 years since the teenager's murder. His mom has been resolute in distancing herself from far-right extremists who have tried to make an example of her son's death to stoke up racial tensions or make right-wing points. I mean, it was a racially motivated attack, so I mean, people are going to bring that up regardless, because it was a racially motivated murder that happened to Chris Donald. A Scottish Queen spokesperson said this is not the first time that the far right has tried to hijack and exploit Chris Donald's tragic murder to advance its own vile agenda. Chris's family called it out years ago, yet these groups refuse to leave them to grieve. The far right know the people of Scotland will always reject them. I mean, I highly doubt they would reject us, but anyway, and their hate-filled worldview, so they spend a lot of time and money trying to cover it up. They hide their hatred behind tragedies and use the front groups with innocent-sounding names to give themselves a veneer of respectability. What the fuck is this clown even talking about? This is another sickening example of that. Their brand of divisive and cynical opportunism has no place in a modern and progressive Scotland. Oh, fuck off. It's people like you that are meant to be the divisive and cynical opportunists when it comes to promoting stuff like the anti-white agenda. So I don't understand where this clown is even coming from with that. Earlier this year, a group called Here We Go Patriarchal Alternative Scotland staged a gathering at Chris's memorial bench on the Clyde, claiming it was in tribute to victims of anti-white violence. I mean, it was. That's the whole point of it. It was paying tribute to both Chris Donald and to people who've been victims of the anti-white violence that have occurred. I mean, there's plethora of examples of this going on throughout, not just throughout the UK, but throughout the West or all across Europe, and even in America for that matter. Before unfurling a banner with his face on it over the M8, McConaughey's UK, A Force for Good, was set up in 2012 and is supported by former BNP members. Oh no, the former BNP members. Oh no, the fucking horror. Former BNP members Max Dunbar and John Robertson. The men regularly participate in anti-independence rallies, with McConaughey's 56 from Castle Douglas also boycotting a Black Lives Matter protest in Edinburgh in 2020. McConaughey, Donenbar, and Robertson also all stood in the last Scottish Parliament elections as the Independent Green Voice, or IGV, party. Although unsuccessful in getting elected, it prompted fears that the group's members were trying to become more acceptable to the public. With some voters complaining to the Electoral Commission, watchdogs launched an investigation after it emerged. The Green Party may have been deprived of as many as 2 Hollywood seats due to the Independent Green Voice name. Well, there's many people that are just sick and tired of the current state that's going on just now, and people are definitely looking for an alternative, like any alternative for that matter. For that matter. Because at the end of the day, most of these mainstream Scottish political groups don't really support the general public here in Scotland. And again, the general public here in Scotland are just sick to death of what's going on in Scottish politics, and they're desperately looking for that alternative, which is why they would want to look for groups like the IGV or maybe PA or anyone for that matter. They're desperately, as I said, they're desperately looking for that alternative to happen. Some voters said they believed they were voting for the Green Party as the word green displayed on IGV's logo was much more prominent than the other words. I highly doubt that. People, they sure as hell can't really be that stupid. Come on now. Scottish Labour MSP Neil Bibby said Chris Donald was a tragic victim of a hate crime. He deserves better than to have his memory hijacked by groups determined to fuel division and prejudice. It is disrespectful to his family and all the people who knew and loved Chris. I have every confidence people will see through these desperate attention-seeking antics and reject the hateful politics of the far right in favor of hope and solidarity. Wait a minute. See through desperate attention-seeking antics and reject the hateful politics of the far right. So then, why then is it how is it desperate and attention-seeking? We're just paying respects to Chris Donald, and we're also basically making a point about all the stuff of anti-whiteism is all happening. And this is something that these politics I know, or politicians I know, really don't want to believe, but that is what's happening. Whether they agree with it or not, whether they like it or not, this is anti-whiteism is a thing, and people like these politicians are definitely supporting all the stuff that's happening just now. And when it comes to like desperate or seeking attention, it's like you're the ones who are desperate to call us out for being extremist or being far right extremists. Even though the only thing we're doing is we're paying tribute to Chris Donald and also pointing out that this type of anti-whiteism is happening. So what seems to be the problem here exactly? And all these politicians keep coming out of the woodwork and say, "Oh, we despise this." The only reason you're doing that is because you know for a fact that the people are losing support and respect for you law, which is why you don't want groups like PA or IGV or even what was it that said? It was UK A Force for Good. You don't want any of these groups to gain any attention or any of the support, because you know for a fact that if it were to be that case, then a lot of people would actually turn to nationalism regarding to that. I also realized I didn't actually share the screen. Let me just kind of showcase, just to show people that I did have the article up here. So I think that's coming towards the end of the article anyway. Right. Here's the article in question. Let me just read the last part here, and then we'll just move on from there. He said, "I don't accept gas chambers were used to..." Wait, what's this? So McConaughey was ejected from UKIP in 2001 after his comments about the Holocaust in an email to UKIP members. He said, "I don't accept gas chambers were used to execute Jews for the simple fact there is no direct physical evidence to show that such gas chambers ever existed. There are no photographs or films of execution gas chambers. Alleged eyewitness accounts are revealed as false or highly exaggerated." In a later interview, he said he stood by the comments. The Sunday Mail contacted those involved in the tributes for comment. While no one responded directly to our request, one member of the group, who goes by at Casercells on Twitter, took to social media to harass our reporter prior to publication. harass possibly means that basically asking them, basically direct questions, but whatever. He wrote, please explain how paying respects to fallen and murdered people is making political points. I await with interest. You are pathetic and disrespectful. We are respectful and always will be. Now, I mean, that's a very, very, very point to me. How is that exactly harassing the reporter exactly? But basically calling them out on their bullshit. I mean, we all know for a fact that these reporters, quote unquote, are basically massive. Are massive. Well, they're the ones who are actually activists to begin with. So how is that harassing them exactly? It's basically literally just calling them out on their bullshit. They hate us because they ain't us. One, our strong ancestors built modern civilization. Indeed, they always use specific language to makes nothing. Bursa, there's a left. I see. Right. Well, that's the end of that article. So I think we'll just move on from there. And yeah, perfect. On this, if you guys want to check out the article yourselves, then I'll just post it in the chat here just now and see from there. Here we go. Perfect. Right, good stuff. So that's that article here. If I lived over your, that's fine. No worries. I'll just respond to it. Person, that's fine. Right. Time is up. Just about an hour into the show. So I mentioned. What was the other? I think there was maybe one last thing to mention in regards to, yeah, it was something that I was supposed to talk about in the previous episode, but of course I didn't really get a chance to make more episodes because of reasons. But I'll maybe just briefly touch upon Kanye West or Ye's appearance on InfoWars. I think I've already maybe slightly talked about that in the last episode, but I kind of want to talk about just briefly the aftermath of what happened, because I've seen a lot of people, by people I don't mean like leftists or really anti-whites, but mainly people like the centrists who claim to be pro-free speech and all of that. Basically, ever since that InfoWars episode happened, like the mask has completely slipped off from them. They claim to be for free speech, but then might be worth discussing the National Party Conference attack in Ireland. I'm pretty sure I've already spoke about that in the last episode. Well, not last episode, but I think it was episode 126 I might have mentioned. But I'm pretty sure I did talk about that. That was maybe like a month ago or something like that. I'm pretty sure I did talk about that. They always use specific weasel words to make actions sound like criminal acts, or any innocent actions sound like criminal acts. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, so all these like free speech people that they claim to be, for freedom fighters and all of that. But then, of course, this whole Ye appearance on InfoWars happened, and all of a sudden, the mask completely slips, and they showcase their true colors, where they're just like, oh, well, I mean, we can't exactly have a show like this. Only, we just need to watch out for Ye's mental health or anything like that at all. It's just like, fuck off. These are the same people who like get a huge boner for free speech, but then of course when it's type of speech that maybe they see as going a bit too far, then the true colors showcase. Then they showcase who they really are. But anyway, so that's. I think I'll just mention that just real briefly and then move on from there. Alrighty then. I think at the start of the show, half five, right? That's fine. I think with that, folks, I might as well just come to the end of tonight's show and just kind of end it from there. So I know it was really short, but again, I got stuff to kind of cover when it comes to that, or maybe stuff to do. I'll be back with the next episode. Again, maybe not this coming Thursday because I got stuff going on. So maybe I'll be back next week. Again, I'll post something on Telegram just to let people remind them, kind of thing, that this month it might be. Oh yes, that's a good point, English Rose. So check out PA Scotland or PA Young Scots' latest episode on Odyssey with the episode 11 where they have Kenny Smith on. Laura Tyler will be on. I thought that was 8 o'clock. That was happening. Anyway, Laura will be appearing as a guest on Unity News Network at 7 p.m., which I thought it would be 8 p.m., but either one of the two, she'll be on there, so definitely check that out. And I'll definitely give you guys an update as to what's happened with my show for this month. As I said, I'll probably go for like one episode for this per week for this month, and then roundabout when January comes around, then I'll go back to being 2 episodes per week, and then see from there. Anyway, with that being said, I'll end the show tonight. So again, I want to thank everyone for tuning into tonight's episode. Again, I know it was short, but again, I got other stuff to do at the moment. But I do appreciate everyone coming along, and I'll see you guys next week on episode 129. I'm just going to see if I can find a song to play us out with. No worries, English Rose. So thank you very much for coming along and also being a moderator for the show. Support Patreon Alternative. I've got that up there. That's fine. Let's see. Right. Okay. I know exactly what to play us out with. Hold on a minute here. Yeah, I might as well just play that. Why not? Okay, perfect. So, thank you, Chief. It says 7 p.m. for Laura on UNN. Maybe it's 7 p.m. It might be 8 p.m. But I'll definitely post a link for that in my Telegram for people to go and check it out. So definitely check it out if you can when it's live on UNN. And also check out PA Young Scots, as I said, PA Young Scots' latest episode 11, where they have Kenny Smith on. That's on the PA Scotland official Odyssey channel. You can find that out just now. 7 p.m. Right. Okay, well, there we go. So half an hour to go. And then check out Laura's appearance on UNN tonight at 7 p.m. Excellent. Night, everyone. Have a great week. Be lucky. Well, thank you very much, Gavin. And also thank you very much, everyone tuning in tonight. As I said, hopefully I'll be back. I don't know if I'll be back on Thursday, but I'll definitely be back on Sunday next week regarding to that. I'll keep you guys updated on Telegram again, just to let you all know with that. And that's going to be it for tonight. So thank you all very much for watching. This is Chief Moody signing out. You have been watching the Mood of the Nation podcast, and I will see you all. Chief Moody, I'll message you about the Christmas stream. That's fine. You do that, Ragnar. I can't wait for the message. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming along, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Thank you all, and good night. Take care.
Years of being told you ain't as good as us. Join the line, sign your name. And they all said that our country's going bust. But no one's fooling us again. England belongs to me. A nation's pride, the dirty water of the rivers. No one can take away her memory. Oh, England belongs to me. We've shown the world that the boys are back to stay. And you all know what we can do. It's held high, fighting all the way for the red, white and blue. England belongs to me. A nation's pride, the dirty water of the rivers. No one can take away her memory. Oh, England belongs to me. England belongs to me. You better believe it. A nation's pride, the dirty water of the rivers. No one can take away her memory. Oh, England belongs to me. England belongs to me. And I shall pride the dirty water of the rivers. No one can take away her memory. Oh, England belongs to me. England belongs to me. A nation's pride, the dirty waters of the rivers. No one can take away her memory.